The neon-soaked streets of Neo-Tokyo pulsed with life as Jethro Kumar maneuvered his hoverbike through the maze of traffic. The city's towering skyscrapers reflected an endless stream of holographic advertisements, casting vibrant blues and greens across the evening crowd. Despite the dazzling display of progress, Jethro felt detached, as if he were an outsider observing a world that no longer held meaning for him. As a biotech engineer, he'd once been filled with ambition, but years of corporate monotony had dulled his excitement. Each day felt like a rerun of the last, predictable, endless, and unremarkable. Tonight, however, something was different. A sharp chime from his comlink jolted him from his reverie. Glancing at his retinal display, Jethro noticed an unfamiliar code blinking insistently. Spam calls weren't unusual, but something about this code demanded his attention. Mr. Jethro Kumar, a crisp, artificial voice greeted him. Speaking, Jethro replied warily, pulling his bike into a quiet corner to avoid the bustling noise of the streets. This is an automated message from the Intergalactic Notary Office, the voice continued. We regret to inform you that Xander Zorn of Zeta 9 has passed away. You are listed as the sole beneficiary of his estate. Please report to Orbital Station Alpha for further details. Jethro froze, his mind racing. Xander Zorn? His old friend from the Intergalactic Science Conference 5 years ago. The alien had been a larger-than-life figure, brilliant, eccentric, and unpredictable. They'd bonded over a shared love of quantum algorithms and Centurion whiskey, but their paths had diverged shortly after. I don't understand, Jethro stammered. Why would Xander leave anything to me? The AI's voice remained emotionless. Further details will be provided at the orbital station. Failure to claim the estate within one interstellar cycle will result in reversion to secondary beneficiaries. The line went dead. For a moment, Jethro sat in stunned silence. The cacophony of Neo-Tokyo faded into the background as questions flooded his mind. Why him? What estate? And most importantly, what had happened to Xander? That night, Jethro barely slept. By dawn, he had packed a bag, submitted his leave of absence, and booked a ticket to Orbital Station Alpha. The shuttle ride was a blur of apprehension and curiosity. As the station came into view, a massive wheel of carbon fiber brilliance floating against the black void of space, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change forever. Upon arrival, a holographic assistant guided him through the sterile corridors, its voice polite but detached. They stopped before an ornate door that felt out of place amid the station's cold, utilitarian design. Mr. Kumar, the hologram announced, please enter. The room beyond was a striking contrast to the rest of the station. Polished mahogany shelves lined the walls, and an antique desk stood at its center. Behind it sat a mass of tentacles encased in an exosuit that vaguely resembled a humanoid torso. Two eye stalks swiveled toward Jethro as he entered. Ah, Mr. Kumar, the being said, its voice melodious and oddly calming. I am Notary Zix. Please have a seat. Jethro perched uneasily on the leather chair, feeling as if he'd stepped into an interstellar fever dream. I don't understand. And Xander and I were friends, but we hadn't spoken in years. Why would he leave me anything? Zix's tentacles rippled slightly, a gesture Jethro interpreted as a shrug. Mr. Zorn's motives are not for me to speculate. I am here only to execute his final wishes. A sleek data pad slid across the desk toward him. Please place your palm here to initiate the transfer. What exactly am I inheriting? Jethro asked, hesitating. His hand hovered above the pad. Zix listed the assets with detached precision. A luxurious space mansion orbiting Zeta 9, 12 merchant-class starships, various investments across 3 star systems, and the eye stalk swiveled toward the door. Ah, here she is now. The door slid open, and Jethro's breath caught. A woman stepped into the room with an otherworldly grace, her shimmering skin reflecting a kaleidoscope of iridescent colors. Her silver eyes locked onto his, and for a moment it felt as though the air had been sucked from the room. Mr. Kumar, Zix continued, this is Neela, Mr. Zorn's wife. She is also part of your inheritance. Jethro bolted upright. Wait, people can't be inherited. That's slavery. A soft melodic laugh filled the room, catching him off guard. Neela spoke, her voice smooth and lilting like wind chimes on a summer breeze. You misunderstand, Jethro Kumar. I am not property. By the customs of my people, I am now bound to you as your wife. Jethro's mind reeled. This is insane. I can't. I don't even know you. Neela tilted her head slightly, her expression serene but curious. And yet you find me attractive, do you not? His face burned as he stumbled over his words. That's not the point, Zix interjected smoothly. Time is of the essence, Mr. Kumar. Xander's rivals are already aware of his passing and will contest the estate if you do not assume control immediately. And if I refuse? Jethro asked, his voice strained. Then the estate will be tied up in intergalactic courts for decades. Mr. Zorn's empire will collapse, and his work will be lost. Jethro looked at Neela again. Despite her ethereal beauty, there was something deeper in her silver eyes, intelligence, vulnerability, and perhaps even resolve. Is this what you want? He asked her softly. What I want is irrelevant, she replied, her voice steady. This is my duty. Taking a deep breath, Jethro placed his palm on the datapad. The transfer completed with a soft chime, and a heavy weight seemed to settle on his shoulders. Congratulations, Zix said. You are now Mr. Zorn's official heir. I wish you luck, Mr. Kumar. You will need it. As he followed Neela out of the office, Jethro couldn't shake the feeling that he had just stepped into a world far beyond his comprehension, and there was no turning back. The space mansion orbited Zeta 9 in silent majesty, its crystalline domes catching the twin suns' light and scattering prismatic hues across the planet below. Jethro stood on the observation deck, staring out at the planet's surface, his mind heavy with questions. The weight of the inheritance of Xander's empire, Neela's presence, and the unexplained rivalry with Zorg pressed down on him like an anchor. This is surreal, he muttered under his breath. Neela's voice broke the silence. Surreal or not, it is your reality now. Jethro turned to see her standing at the doorway, her shimmering skin catching the light in a way that made her seem otherworldly. Despite her calm demeanor, her silver eyes betrayed a flicker of uncertainty. You've been standing here for hours, she said softly. I'm trying to figure out why Xander chose me for all of this, Jethro replied. I wasn't special to him. We were friends, sure, but this, he gestured toward the mansion and the endless void beyond the observation window. This feels like a mistake. Neela walked closer, her movements graceful and measured. Xander believed in potential. He often spoke of your unique ability to see solutions where others saw problems. Perhaps that's what he saw in you, a mind that could carry forward what he left behind. Jethro let out a bitter laugh. Potential? I'm a glorified desk jockey back on Earth. Xander was a genius. I'm just me. Before Neela could respond, a sharp tone echoed through the room. The mansion's AI chimed, its mechanical voice cutting through the air. Incoming transmission, Jethro frowned. Who could be calling? The wall panel flickered to life, and Zorg's face appeared, his green, chitinous skin glistening under artificial light. A sneer twisted his lips as his glowing yellow eyes locked onto Jethro. Ah, the new lord of the Zorn estate, Zorg said, his voice dripping with mockery. Tell me, little human, are you enjoying your stolen inheritance? Jethro felt a rush of anger but kept his voice steady. It's not stolen. Xander left it to me, legally. Zorg let out a low, gravelly laugh. Legality is a fragile thing in this galaxy. Let's see how long you hold on to it when your resources dry up and your allies abandon you. The screen went dark, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. Jethro turned to Neela, his jaw clenched. That doesn't sound like an empty threat. It isn't, Neela replied, her tone grave. Zorg has already begun spreading false claims about you. He'll move swiftly to discredit you and take what he believes is his. Jethro's resolve hardened. If he wants to fight, he'll get one. But first, we need to figure out what Xander was working on. This isn't just about money or property. There's something bigger here. Neela nodded. Follow me. There's a vault beneath the mansion. It contains Xander's most guarded secrets. The two descended through the mansion's labyrinthine corridors, finally arriving at a reinforced door. Neela placed her hand on a scanner, and the door slid open with a hiss, revealing a room filled with glowing data crystals, holographic displays, and intricate schematics. This is Xander's legacy, Neela said. His research lab. Jethro began exploring the data, marveling at the intricate designs and calculations. As he delved deeper, he uncovered blueprints for a device labeled Empathic Amplifier. Its purpose, to enhance telepathic and empathic abilities, allowing species to communicate on a profound emotional level. This is incredible, Jethro said, all coloring his voice. If this works, it could revolutionize diplomacy, prevent wars before they even start. Neela's expression darkened. Or it could be weaponized. In the wrong hands, this device could control minds, sow chaos, and destroy entire civilizations. Zorg must know about this. Before Jethro could respond, the mansion's AI interrupted. Alert! Intruders detected in Sector 4. Jethro's heart raced. Zorg, likely, Neela said, closing her eyes as her telepathic abilities reached out. 5 mercenaries. They're headed for the data vault. Jethro grabbed a plasma rifle from the wall. Stay here. I'll handle this. No, Neela said firmly. I can sense their movements. Together, we stand a better chance. The two moved through the corridors, Neela guiding Jethro with her telepathic insights. They worked in perfect sync, using surprise and precision to outmaneuver the intruders. Jethro's technical knowledge helped disable their equipment, while Neela's illusions confused and disoriented them. Within minutes, the threat was neutralized, but the victory felt hollow. This was just a test, Jethro said, his voice tinged with frustration. Zorg's testing our defenses, and he'll escalate, Neela added. We need to move the amplifier. It's too dangerous to keep here, Jethro nodded. Then we find somewhere safer. But first, we need to learn everything Exander knew about this device. Zorg can't win. The two prepared for their next move, knowing that their fight with Zorg was far from over. The hidden research station loomed before them, its exterior camouflaged as an asteroid drifting silently in Zeta 9's orbit. As Jethro guided the ship into the docking bay, a sense of foreboding settled over him. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the faint hum of the ship's engines. This is where Xander hid his most sensitive projects, Neela said, her voice calm but tense. If Zord knows about this place, we're walking into a trap. Jethro tightened his grip on the controls. Then let's hope he's underestimated us. The station's interior was cold and dark, the dim lighting casting long shadows across the walls. They moved cautiously through the corridors, guided by the faint signals Neela sensed from Xander's amplifier. When they reached the central lab, Jethro's breath caught. The amplifier stood at the room's center, its design a masterpiece of interlocking crystals and pulsating conduits. Energy rippled across its surface, casting ethereal patterns on the walls. This is it, Jethro whispered, approaching the device, the empathic amplifier. Xander's legacy. Before he could inspect it further, the sound of footsteps echoed through the corridor. Jethro and Neela turned as Zorg strode into the room, flanked by heavily armed mercenaries. His sneer was as sharp as the claws protruding from his hands. Well, well, Zorg said mockingly, I should thank you, Kumar. You've saved me the trouble of searching for the prize. Jethro stepped forward, placing himself between Zorg and the amplifier. This isn't yours, Zorg. Xander didn't want you anywhere near it. Zorg laughed, the sound echoing coldly. Xander was a dreamer, and dreamers don't last long in this galaxy. Power belongs to those willing to take it. He signaled his men to advance, but before they could act, Neela stepped forward. Her silver eyes glowed faintly as she raised a hand. This device wasn't meant for destruction, Zorg. Do you think you can twist its purpose without consequence? Zorg's sneer faltered, but only for a moment. You think words will stop me? He turned to his men. Take them. Chaos erupted. Jethro and Neela fought side by side, their teamwork seamless. Neela's telepathic abilities created illusions that disoriented the mercenaries, while Jethro used his technical expertise to disable their weapons and deploy improvised defenses. Despite their efforts, Zorg reached the amplifier and activated it. A surge of energy filled the room, knocking Jethro to his knees. The device pulsed violently, its power growing uncontrollably. Neela screamed, her hands clutching her head as the amplifier amplified her telepathic link to overwhelming levels. I can stop it, Neela yelled, her voice strained. But I need your help. Jethro crawled to her side, his hand finding hers. What do I need to do? Focus, she said, her voice trembling. Our minds must align. We need to counter the amplifier's energy together. Jethro closed his eyes, letting Neela's presence guide him. For the first time, he felt her thoughts, her emotions a torrent of fear, hope, and determination. Their connection deepened, and together they pushed back against the amplifier's power. The energy began to subside, the device's glow fading. Zorg roared in frustration, lunging toward them, but Jethro acted quickly. Grabbing a discarded weapon, he fired, forcing Zorg to retreat. "This isn't over," Zorg snarled, his yellow eyes blazing. "You've made an enemy of me, Kumar. I'll hunt you to the edges of the galaxy." Jethro stood firm, his gaze unyielding. "Then you better be ready to lose." Zorg fled with his remaining men, leaving Jethro and Neela alone in the now quiet lab. The amplifier, though deactivated, remained a symbol of both promise and danger. "We can't leave it intact," Jethro said, his voice steady. "Zorg will come back for it." Neela nodded, "Then we destroy it." Xander's vision was noble, but its risks are too great. Together, they dismantled the amplifier, piece by piece. As they worked, Jethro couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come. This wasn't just about Xander's legacy anymore. It was about building something new, something their own. The bridge of the Horizon Seeker hummed softly as Jethro stared out at the vast expanse of space. Beside him, Neela stood with her usual calm poise, her silver eyes focused on the massive station ahead. Named Zorn's legacy, the station was a hub of intergalactic diplomacy, a testament to Xander's dream of unity and understanding. Alien species from across the galaxy worked and studied there, learning to bridge their differences through empathy and collaboration. Jethro's reflection caught his eye in the viewport. His once dark hair was now streaked with gray, and faint lines crinkled around his eyes. Despite the challenges of the past 5 years, he felt stronger, more purposeful. "You've done well," Neela said, her voice soft but filled with pride. "We've done well," Jethro corrected, turning to her. "I couldn't have done this without you." Neela smiled, her expression warm. "And I couldn't have done it without you." Jethro took her hand, their bond stronger than ever. "Ready to change the galaxy again?" "Always," she replied, her voice filled with certainty. Together they stepped into the future, their journey far from over but filled with hope, love, and purpose.